Before I begin talking in this video, I just want to say that it is mostly going to be kind of a rant and trying to explain some stuff from my perspective. In this situation, as the title suggests, it is just explaining why I don't like to play on EU West that much. People have always asked me, and they still ask me, why I choose to play on EUNE over EU West most of the time, and I think it is time I actually made a video and explained it fully. About a week ago, I announced that I was going to grind on EU West until the end of the season with Mordekaiser and look to get Challenger. I've done it before, it's not that big of a deal. I've gotten to 1000 LP with Mordekaiser. The issue is that within these 7 days or so, I haven't had that much fun. The climb has gone rather well. In the first 5 days, I went from Diamond 2 to 700 LP, and I think that is very solid. My issue with that is simply the fact that I just did not have as much fun as I would on EUNE. And there's multiple contributing factors to this. I would say the main one is people just running it down, griefing, and flaming. I have seen more toxicity and intentionally feeding and just running it down and disrupting the game in this 1 week that I've spent on EU West than the entire season 15 on EUNE, and I am not even joking. When I did my earlier climb this year on EU West to 1000 LP with Mordekaiser, it was basically the same experience that I had right now. But I tried to push it aside to go for the 1000 LP with him. I know there's a lot of people that ask about Mordekaiser related stuff on my channel, and I know there's people who want to watch a lot of Mordekaiser gameplays, so I wanted to provide that for you all. I thought if I streamed on Twitch on EU West, people would enjoy looking at that, especially because they also asked me to play on EU West, maybe find some pros or streamers like Baus, but at times, for me personally, it becomes kinda difficult to deal with it. The amount of mental breakdowns that I've seen from minute 1, or if someone dies early on, is ridiculous. People just straight up accepting defeat from the first death and running it down. Either that or just non-stop flaming and making sure that they basically tell everyone how horrible they are at the game. I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. You cannot compare the flame you receive on EU West and EUNE. It is completely incomparable because of how much more you get flamed on EU West. I get it, the server is more competitive and it is supposed to have higher skill overall, but that doesn't give you the right to lash out at people and tell them not so nice things that I can't say because I'm probably going to get demonetized, or just run the game down because you see someone on your team. Here are a few examples that I've experienced in the past few days. What you see on your screen right now is a Yone who decided to just sit AFK from level 7 because the early game went poorly. He basically said, "Good luck to you all, I'm not playing." So he stood in the base AFK until we lost the game. All of this happened because the early game was kinda rough. Nobody flamed him, nobody said anything, it was just that simple. Here's a bard that said the moment we loaded into the game that he wants to make sure our Galio loses. He straight up said that he doesn't want him to win, and what he ended up doing for the entire game is basically just running around the map. He didn't actually run into opponents and intentionally feed that way, he just soft-inted by literally running around the map and nothing else. He would sometimes put down a heal or two, and maybe even look to stun up someone, but most of the time he would not bother with anything. I've seen this both on my team and the enemy team, even more than I showcased here. These are just a few examples of people just blatantly running the game down and disrupting the gameplay. Then there's also people picking random stuff that they never play just to get a dodge out of someone or to just soft-end. Here's some examples of this. In this game, I had AD carry Katarina, but let's say she was genuinely trying here because I know AD carry Katarina can be a thing. I don't get upset when people play off meta. Sometimes I can get annoyed, for example, example, if I am filled and I see something like a Bard top lane, yes, initially I'm going to get upset, but if the guy genuinely plays Bard top lane, it's fine. So you can see that Katarina AD carry can be fine. Here's a game where I had Katarina support. Here's a game where I had Renekton AD carry. Here's a game where in a Grandmaster to Challenger EU West lobby, I had a Lee Sin support. And the guy who played Lee Sin support was a Nidalee one trick that has around 1000 LP. And another fun fact about this Lee Sin support, I found another game in his match history where he played Draven Jungle. I'm sure he tried his best in the Draven Jungle game and the Lee Sin support game. Finding people like this only decreases game quality, and it just makes the experience overall unfun. I even have numerous examples of people flaming in chat so much. I could probably show 10 to 15 to maybe even 20 games easily, but instead I'm going to showcase just one single clip here. I go to team fight with my team and I actually use my ultimate incorrectly here. Amumu had his ultimate and he could have used it onto Kai'Sa to kill her. Because I used my ultimate, I essentially stopped the Amumu ultimate from targeting Kai'Sa. After I died, I said in chat that I did a bad ultimate and that was on me, followed by Corky telling me that I just have a bad game and that I'm garbage. Keep in mind, the only other thing I said in the chat during the entire game was the fact that Nasus burned his summoner spells at one point. I took fault for my own mistake and I get rewarded by getting flamed even further. Obviously not everyone is like this, and obviously you will find people like this on EUNE, but again, from my experience, it has never been as bad on EUNE. Some people may have different experiences and maybe like EU West more, and maybe they see EUNE as a region that flames more. But every single time I went to EU West, something happened where people just omega flamed or ran it down or just had to do something to completely ruin my experience. It's nice to play against certain people like XYZ or Baus or Meet Geishu or Kagaru. I even went up against Yankos in the top lane and I was playing Mordekaiser and he was playing Zehen and he called Mordekaiser broken. I know he's not a top laner, but that was just funny to see.
He's so strong. But bro, his champ is just broken. What? I'm getting all in and I can't do anything.
What?
I don't think I would scale him, do I? Maybe in team fights, but not in 1-1. I guess nothing really outscales this champ in 1-1, does it? Maybe like Vayne or something.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
But playing with these people once in a while and seeing some cool people does not offset the fact that most of the time you'll have some random guy calling you garbage, hard stuck, and flaming everyone before running it down. There's also the fact that whenever I play on EU West, I look to focus on winning really hard. Obviously, I am going to have some bad games, and when they do happen, I'm going to get frustrated at myself because I play poorly. But even more than that, I get upset really hard if I lose. And normally, I genuinely do not care if I win or lose. And you may say, well, just have that mentality on EU West. But truth be told, it is much harder to do that in my opinion. On EU West, you are seen on people's streams and people make clips of you and Twitter threads if they don't like something about you. I can guarantee you with 100% certainty that if Bardenet, the Bard top player, was actually playing on EUNE, the backlash for him playing Bard top lane would be much smaller or maybe non-existent. Most likely people would look at it and say, oh, it's EUNE, what does it matter? Or, oh, it's EUNE, so obviously that works there. And the guy is not actually running it down. He is just simply playing Bard top lane and people don't like that. You can say that I can try to ignore those people, but why would I subject myself to that even? Let's say I did ignore them. What is the benefit of me playing on EU West to get flamed when I can just play on EUNE and not get flamed as much and have a better time? And the last thing that I want to say that makes the whole experience more unfun for me is the fact that I have fewer skins, and I am not even kidding you. 1 or 2 days ago, I played on EUNE again to get some of my decays played, and I kid you not, the first game that I played, my joy came back. You may think I'm exaggerating, but I'm not. I played a game of Darius with the Mecha Kingdoms Darius skin, and I loved it. We ended up winning it, but I wouldn't have cared even if we lost it, because it genuinely would not matter. But on EU West, if I were to actually have that same mentality, people would just call me hard stuck and again make posts, maybe just tell me I'm delusional and that I'm bad. And you can ignore people only so much. But to add more to the skin point, actually playing certain characters gives me a lot of joy in this game. And the same goes for playing these characters with certain skins. The reason I came back to Mordekaiser was because of his Sanuzal skin. Otherwise, I would not have played Mordekaiser again. Maybe I would have done an occasional 2 to 3 games, but nothing massive. But I loved the animations on the skin. I loved the voice lines. The sound effects are amazing. For me, that just makes it fun. And on my EU West account, I don't have as many skins, and not all the skins I want. I made a bunch of videos on Darius because of the Mecha Kingdoms Darius skin. I didn't really want to play Darius beforehand, but when the skin launched, I started playing him again because I adored the skin so much. I could be 1 in 5 as Draven, and as long as I just get to catch axes on the side lane with something like Mecha Kingdoms Draven or Gladiator Draven, I am going to have the time of my life. And I'm saying this wholeheartedly. And to me, fun should be the most important thing. If I am just hard focusing on winning and I end up losing, that is going to make me really sad, obviously. But I shouldn't care just about winning. And the issue is that every time I play EU West, it feels like my only goal is winning. I can deal with fighting pro players on the regular, or streamers, or just really good players, or playing into counterpick meta all the time, or actually playing tough drafts. What I don't like is these things, especially when people flame and troll and in so much. I try to do the things that I enjoy. The very first video on this channel was made because I had so much love for those specific Nemesis quests. I just thought to myself, hey, maybe it would be cool to make a tier list of the Nemesis quests and explain them. This is how I make YouTube videos. I just make videos on what I like. If I feel like playing Sion all of a sudden, I'm going to play Sion and maybe make some videos about it. Maybe I'm going to make a video where I rank skins for champions. I love content creation and actually playing the game, and I am always left disappointed whenever I come to EU West to play. If you are on EUNE and you feel like you want to go to EU West to play there, the only real reason you do it is to get more exposure or have higher quality games. Sometimes that higher quality isn't even there. For example, in this game, in a Master Grandmaster lobby on EU West, where I am the only one with heal reduction into a Warwick and Vladimir. But maybe it wasn't really that needed against them, though I would argue at least someone else should have bought it. Here's another game around Grandmaster, very close to Challenger, where I had to type to my team like 5 or 6 times and beg them to buy Heal Cut into an Aatrox, Silas, Mbessa with her passive R healing, and a Swain. I am the only one with any heal cut into 3 champions that have major healing, and then one has some minor healing. Obviously, I would like to grow and stuff, but I want to do what makes me happy, and I want to share my passion with you all. So I have made the decision to stop playing on EU West, at least for the time being. Maybe next season I will give it another shot only one time and see how that feels. But that would be about it, most likely. I am terribly sorry if you're upset with me right now, and I know there will be people that will say that I made this video to cope and say that I can't climb, or that I'm hard stuck, or that actually the reason I'm quitting is because I can't get Challenger, but genuinely I don't care. I already proved that I can get Challenger on EU West. If people want to accept that or not, that's up to them. They can say it was Challenger but not really because it was too early into the season, or far too low LP, or it was low Challenger, or whatever else. I will just try to ignore that. I just wanted to say these things and get them off my chest, basically. There's also the fact that I was super excited to begin this climb. I really wanted to go to Challenger, but this last week of playing on EU West has made me lose all that spark for trying to get there. With all of this being said, thank you all for joining me in this video. I hope you found something useful here, or maybe you liked it, maybe you want to share your own thoughts and opinions in the comments, and I would love to read through those. I will see you guys in the next video, hopefully very soon.